This visit marks a significant milestone in the continued deepening of relations between Kenya and Portugal. Our productive discussions focused on strengthening the partnership across key strategic sectors, including trade and investment, peace and security, the blue economy, and multilateral cooperation. Notably, our trade volumes have historically been low. Consequently, Kenya and Portugal recognize the imperative to maximize the immense potential that exists between our two economies. In this regard, we have agreed to boost trade and market access by strengthening partnerships between our respective trade ministries, chambers of commerce, and the Portuguese Business Council in Kenya for joint business forums and trade missions. We also agreed to draw on the Kenya-European Economic Partnership Agreement to further spur mutual economic growth. Kenya is strategically positioned as the gateway to East and Central Africa, providing access to a market of over 300 million people in the East African community, one of the fastest growing regional economic communities. Kenya is also a key node in the African Continental Free Trade Area, a single market of over 1.3 billion people. In this context, we invite Portuguese investors to choose Nairobi as the anchor for investment in the wider African market, utilizing Kenya's strategic regional location connectivity and comparative advantages. In our just concluded engagements, Kenya and Portugal particularly emphasize enhancing collaboration in the blue economy sector. This includes sustainable fisheries, marine conservation, maritime transport, ocean governance, building on the foundation of co-hosting of the 2022 United Nations Oceans Conference in Lisbon. Kenya welcomes Portugal's continued engagement in this respect, including the upcoming Our Ocean Conference 2026 in Mombasa, which will further advance our shared priorities in ocean sustainability and blue economy development. Kenya and Portugal agreed to continue exploring mutually beneficial frameworks that facilitate skills mobility and protects the rights and welfares of citizens abroad. The March 2026 opening of the Portuguese visa processing section in Nairobi was highlighted as a key milestone that facilitates travel and labor mobility for Kenyans and our business people. Kenya and Portugal are aligned on shared global imperatives, including advocating for a global system based on multilateralism, international law, and advancement of peace, and diplomatic principles of negotiations, human rights, and shared prosperity. Accordingly, we have agreed to continue working together to push for reforms of the international financial architecture and the United Nations Security Council to better address crises such as regional conflicts, climate change, and debt vulnerabilities. Kenya and Portugal also reiterated their strong commitment to advancing climate action. We underscored by Kenya's leading role under His Excellency President William Ruto in the climate agenda, particularly for Africa. We agreed to deepen cooperation in renewable energy development, climate finance, and nature-based solutions to climate change. We also exchanged views on regional and global peace and security. Kenya and Portugal remain firmly committed to diplomacy and international cooperation in addressing emerging security challenges. We have agreed to continue collaborating in promoting peace in the Horn of Africa, the Great Lakes region, and at the global level. Kenya appreciates Portugal's active engagement in international peacekeeping, including missions in Africa. As a country in the Greater Horn of Africa, Kenya acknowledges with gratitude Portugal's contribution to the United Nations mission in South Sudan. We look forward to enhanced collaboration in peace and security, including conflict prevention and counter-terrorism initiatives. I am grateful to His Excellency, Minister Paulo Rangel, for the gracious visit and for the forward-looking engagement. We remain committed to deepening this collaboration for our mutual benefit.
It is really an historical step in our bilateral relations to organize our political consultations, because they allow us to go in detail in the different areas where we can cooperate, where we can align positions. I have only to confirm, nothing more, that we have discussed very deeply the economic dimension of our relation, because both of us, we see enormous potential that has been not yet used, and that we have really no reason not to have a much more intense and fruitful win-win economic trade relationship. And this is clear in a lot of sectors and areas, in the energy sector with renewables, in the maritime sector when we look at fisheries, aquaculture, if we look also at digital technologies, there's a lot of room to improve. Even in agribusiness and others, we can really cooperate a lot, always having in mind the climate change challenges, and also to provide security to the navigation. That is, of course, I'd say something that is decisive. So in economic terms, I think that we have really made some progress that now needs a follow-up, and that also calls the private sector to invest, especially here in Kenya. Then let me say that we also have touched the issues of culture and tourism, and here to continue to cooperate with Kenyan authorities in the protection of historical heritage, and namely the heritage that had some Portuguese influence. When we look at Mombasa, for instance, this is clear, but also other Lamu and other sites that need care and where we can cooperate very firmly. Also, it was very useful, all the discussions about the international agenda. And as you said, Portugal is really committed to give to Africa, to African Union and to African countries, the place that they deserve by merit in the global platforms. And this is the Security Council.